This video is designed to settle your nervous system. As we move further into the deep blue reaches of the universe, the vastness of space will act as a quiet anchor for your mind, gently guiding your brainwaves into the slow, steady rhythm of deep sleep. Listen passively and allow your body to rest. Many listeners fall asleep within the first 10-20 minutes. Let the video play through the night for continuous calm. Chapter 1. The shoreline of the sky. Consider, for a moment, the ground beneath you. It feels solid, dependable, and motionless. We build our lives upon this certainty, walking across streets and fields with the quiet confidence that the earth is the floor of the universe. But if we were to soften our gaze and look past the familiar shapes of our world, we might begin to notice that we are not standing on a floor at all. We are clinging to the surface of a beautiful, wandering sphere, wrapped in a thin, fragile veil of blue. This veil, our atmosphere, is the only thing that separates the warmth of a conversation from the eternal silence of the void. It is a soft boundary, a layer of breath that clings to the rock. When you look up on a clear day, the blue feels infinite, like a ceiling painted with light. Yet, if we were to travel upward, that blue would thin and fade with startling speed. It is no thicker than the skin of an apple when compared to the fruit beneath. We live our entire lives within this shallow pool of air, rarely realizing that the edge of the known world is only a few minutes of vertical travel away. As we begin to rise, the familiar sounds of the world start to settle. The hum of the city, the rustle of the leaves, the distant call of the sea, they all begin to dissolve into a singular, quiet hum. The air grows cold and thin, and the sky above begins to bruise, turning from a bright azure to a deep royal indigo. This is the threshold. This is where the story of the earth ends and the story of the cosmos begins. Looking back, the horizon does not stay flat. It begins to curve, gently at first, revealing the true shape of our home. It is a sight that shifts something deep within us. To see the earth as a curve is to realize that every mountain we have climbed and every ocean we have crossed is part of a single, finite jewel. The light of the sun catches the edge of the atmosphere, creating a thin, glowing ribbon of turquoise that separates the dark of space from the life of the world. It is a delicate sight, one that invites us to breathe more slowly, to settle into the realization of our shared existence on this drifting island. Beyond this ribbon, the light changes. In the world below, light is scattered, bouncing off molecules of air to create the soft glow of daytime. But here the light is direct and piercing. The stars do not twinkle, they shine with a steady, unblinking ferocity. They are no longer distant dots on a ceiling, they are windows into the deep past. To look out into this darkness is to realize that space is not empty. It is a fabric, stretched and woven with the history of everything that has ever been. We move further now, leaving the embrace of the gravity that has held us since birth. The weight of our bodies begins to ease, to soften, until the concept of up and down no longer has meaning. We are floating in a cathedral of shadow and starlight, and there, waiting in the stillness, is our closest companion. The moon hangs in the dark like a pale, silent witness. It has no air to soften its features, no water to smooth its jagged edges. It is a world of bone-white dust and ancient scars. When we look at the moon from our gardens on Earth, it feels like a neighbor, a friendly light in the night. But as we cross the distance between us, we begin to feel the true scale of the gap. Imagine 30 Earths placed side by side. That is the distance we must travel just to reach our nearest celestial partner. It is a vast, empty hallway, a space so wide that light itself, the fastest traveler in the universe, takes over a second to cross it. When you see the moon, you are not seeing it as it is in this exact heartbeat. You are seeing it as it was a moment ago. Even here at the very beginning of our journey, time and space have begun to intertwine. The moon is a quiet place, a landscape of echoes. It tells the story of the early solar system, a time of fire and collision, preserved in the stillness of its craters. There is no wind to blow the dust away, no rain to wash the surface clean. The footprints left by explorers decades ago remain as fresh as the day they were made, waiting in the silence. It is a reminder that in the scale of the universe, time moves differently. What feels like a lifetime to us is but a blink in the memory of a planet. As we drift past the moon, the Earth continues to shrink. It is no longer a world. It is a marble of sapphire and cloud, glowing with a light that feels impossibly precious against the black. We begin to feel a sense of profound quiet. The noise of our lives, the worries, the triumphs, the endless movement cannot follow us here. They belong to the blue veil, and we have moved beyond it. We are entering the great deep. Ahead of us lies the rest of the solar system, a collection of worlds so diverse and so distant that the mind struggles to hold them all at once. There are giants made of gas, moons with hidden oceans, and rings made of shattered ice. But between them lies the true character of the universe, the space, the long, leaning reaches of nothingness that define the scale of all things. It is easy to feel small when faced with this void, but perhaps smallness is not the right word. Perhaps we are simply becoming aware of how much room there is for wonder. The journey to the cosmic edge is not just a journey away from home. It is a journey toward a deeper understanding of what it means to be a part of the whole. The same atoms that make up the distant stars are the atoms that move through your heart. We are the universe observing itself, a small spark of awareness in a vast, dark room. As we settle into this stillness, we prepare to move toward the center of our local world. The sun, the great engine of light, waits in the distance, holding the planets in its invisible grip. We will move toward that fire, and then beyond it, into the cold reaches where the giants spin in the dark. Take a moment to breathe with the silence. The Earth is still there, a bright point of light behind us, a reminder of the warmth we carry with us as we move into the deep. The path is long, but there is no rush. The stars will wait. The universe is patient, and we are finally learning its language. Chapter 2. The hearth of the solar sea, the Earth, has become a memory now, a soft blue sigh fading into the velvet dark. As we turn our gaze away from the cradle, we find ourselves drawn toward the source of all things in our local neighborhood. We are moving toward the light. In the silence of the void, there is a presence that does not speak, but is felt in the very marrow of the world. It is the sun, not merely a star, but a great golden heart beating at the center of a vast and invisible web. Imagine a heavy weight placed upon a silken sheet. The sheet curves, dipping inward, creating a path that everything else must follow. This is the sun's embrace. It is the gravity that sings a silent song, keeping the planets in their places like dancers in a slow, eternal waltz. We often think of the sun as a distant object, a yellow coin in the sky, but out here, we see it for what it truly is, a fountain of fire, a restless ocean of light that stretches its golden fingers across billions of miles to touch the cold skin of the furthest worlds. As we move closer, the warmth begins to change. It is no longer the gentle sun of a summer afternoon. It is a primal force. The light here is so thick it feels like a liquid, washing over us in waves. We are entering the realm of the inner kingdom, where the worlds are made of rock and metal, forged in the intense heat of the beginning. These are the small, sturdy children of the fire, each one a unique story written in dust and stone. The first of these is a restless, scorched world that clings tightly to the sun's side. This is Mercury. It is a lonely place, a world that has no air to protect it, no blanket of clouds to soften the sun's fierce gaze. During the day, it is baked until the rocks themselves seem to groan under the weight of the heat. At night, it turns its face away and plunges into a cold so deep it would shatter a diamond. Mercury is a world of scars. Its surface is covered in craters, memories of a time when the solar system was a chaotic theater of collisions. It reminds us of the resilience of the small. Even here, in the furnace of the sun, the rock persists. It is a silent messenger, showing us how the elements can endure the most extreme of shadows and the most intense of lights. We see the grey, dusty plains, and we feel the weight of its solitude. It is a world that has never known the sound of rain or the movement of a breeze. It is a world of absolute, unmoving stillness. But as we drift further out, the landscape shifts. We encounter a world that is the twin of our own in size, yet its soul is entirely different. Venus is a world hidden behind a veil of gold. From a distance, it looks like a beautiful, glowing jewel, the brightest light in the morning sky. But beneath its thick, swirling clouds, it is a place of heavy, suffocating heat. The air on Venus is not like the air we breathe. It is a thick, crushing weight, an atmosphere so dense that it feels like being at the bottom of a deep and ancient ocean. The sun's light enters the clouds but can never find its way back out. It is trapped, circling the world in a fever that never breaks. This is a world where the sky is the color of sulfur and the clouds move with a slow, heavy grace. There is a strange, haunting beauty in the storms of Venus. To stand on its surface would be to experience a world where the very air glows with a dim, orange light. It is a reminder of how a world can lose its balance, how a garden can become a furnace. We look at the swirling patterns of its clouds, and we see a dream that went a different way, a sister world that chose a path of fire instead of water. We pass our own home again, seeing it now with new eyes. It is the only place where the temperature is a gentle hand, where the water stays liquid and the air stays sweet. It is a miracle of balance, a single note of harmony in a symphony of extremes. We carry the memory of its green forests and blue oceans as we move toward the last of the rocky worlds. Mars is a world of rust and echoes. It is a place that feels like an old home, a house that has been empty for a very long time. The dust here is the color of dried blood and ancient clay, covering vast plains and canyons that make the grandest earthbound valleys look like cracks in the sidewalk. The air is thin and cold, a ghostly remnant of what might have once been a thicker, warmer embrace. When we look at the red sands of Mars, we see the ghosts of water. We see the dry riverbeds and the empty basins where lakes might have once shimmered under a younger sun. There is a profound sadness in the Martian landscape, but also a profound hope. It is a world that whispers of what was, and perhaps what could be again. To watch the sunset on Mars is to see the sun turn a soft, pale blue as it sinks behind the red horizon, a mirror image of our own world, a poetic reversal that reminds us how closely we are all connected. Beyond Mars, the character of the journey begins to change. The warmth of the hearth is fading. The rocky ground is giving way to something much larger, much more mysterious. We are approaching the Great Divide, the border where the sun's influence begins to soften and the rule of the giants begins. But before we leave the inner kingdom, let us rest in the light of the sun one last time. Feel the steady pulse of its energy. It is the same energy that fuels the growth of a leaf and the beating of a human heart. We are not separate from this fire. We are a part of its breath. The scale of the universe is vast, but it is held together by these simple, beautiful connections. The sun provides the light, and the planets provide the stage. And we, the observers, provide the meaning. As we settle into the quiet of the space between the worlds, we begin to realize that the journey is not about reaching a destination. It is about the act of seeing. It is about the way the light catches the edge of a world and turns it into a masterpiece. The silence is no longer empty. It is full of the stories of the stone and the flame. We move forward now into the deep, with the giants wait in the dark, spinning their own tales of ice and gas. Chapter 3. The Ocean of the Giants. We leave behind the shores of the solid world, the places where a foot can press against a stone and find a steady answer. Behind us, the inner planets fade like embers in a dying fire, small and hearth-bound. Before us lies the Great Crossing, a threshold where the rules of the light begin to change. We are entering the realm of the giants, where the universe stops speaking in the language of rock and begins to whisper in the language of clouds, ice, and gravity. To reach these distant kings, we must first navigate a silent graveyard of potential. The asteroid belt is often imagined as a chaotic storm of tumbling stones, a crowded thicket of danger, but the reality is far more poetic and far more lonely. It is a vast silver river of remnants, the rubble left over from a house that was never built. Each fragment of stone and metal is a ghost of a world that might have been, drifting in a silence so profound that millions of miles often separate one wanderer from the next. It is a place of deep, undisturbed peace, where the sun's light catches the jagged edges of a floating mountain and turns it into a slow-moving diamond in the dark. As we glide through this quiet sea of dust, we feel a new presence beginning to pull at us. It is not a sudden jerk, but a steady, heavy invitation. A shadow begins to grow on the horizon of the mind, a presence so massive that it does not just exist in space, it seems to define it. We are approaching the king of the solar sea. Jupiter does not reveal itself all at once. It emerges as a vast, marbled tapestry, a world that has no surface to greet us. It is a planet made entirely of weather, a sphere of gas and liquid that has been spinning in its own majesty for eons. To look at Jupiter is to see the very concept of scale rewritten. It is so large that every other planet in our system could be tucked inside its belly with room to spare. It is the great protector, the silent shepherd whose massive weight pulls the wandering stones of the abyss toward itself, keeping the inner garden of Earth safe from the storms of the deep. The colors of Jupiter are the colors of an ancient swirling dream: ochre, cream, copper, and rose. These are not static lines, but rivers of ammonia and sulfur flowing in opposite directions at speeds that would tear the clouds of Earth to shreds. There is no ground here to stop the wind. The storms go on forever. We see the great red spot, a crimson eye that has been watching the universe for centuries. It is a storm larger than our entire world, a swirling vortex of fury that looks, from our distance, as delicate as a drop of wine in a glass of milk. As we sink closer to the upper layers of these clouds, the scale becomes an experience of the soul. The atmosphere is a cathedral of light and shadow, where lightning bolts 1,000 times more powerful than those on Earth illuminate the depths of the gas in sudden, violet flashes. There is a deep, rhythmic thrumming here, the sound of a world that is still settling, still radiating the heat of its own creation. Jupiter is a star that never quite began to shine. a sun that stayed a planet, holding its own miniature solar system of moons in a loyal, rhythmic embrace. These moons are worlds of their own, each a verse in the king's song. We see Io, a world of yellow fire and volcanic ash, dancing too close to its master's heat. We see Europa, a silent, white marble wrapped in a shell of ice, hiding a dark and secret ocean beneath its frozen crust. There is a profound stillness in the thought of that water, a hidden sea that has never seen the sun, waiting in the dark for a ripple that may never come. Leaving the king behind, we find the silence deepening even further. The sun is now a distant, brilliant coin, providing light but no longer offering the warmth of a hearth. We are moving into the cold, where the beauty of the universe becomes crystalline and sharp. And then, emerging from the shadows like a crown lost in a dark forest, we find Saturn. If Jupiter is the king, Saturn is the artist. It is a world draped in a halo of shattered ice, a sight so impossibly beautiful that it feels like a trick of the light. The rings are not a solid road, but a billion fragments of water and stone, each one a tiny moon following its own path. They are as thin as a whisper and as wide as a world, catching the light and breaking it into a million different shades of silver and gold. To watch the shadows of the rings fall across the golden clouds of Saturn is to understand the true meaning of grace. The planet itself is a soft, buttery yellow, its storms more subtle than those of Jupiter, appearing as delicate bands of cream and sand. It moves with a slow, heavy dignity, a world that seems to be made of light and air. We drift near the edge of the rings, seeing the individual particles of ice. Some are as small as a grain of sugar, others are as large as a mountain. They jostle and dance, held in a delicate balance between the pull of the planet and the push of the void. This is the ultimate lesson of the outer giants, that even the most massive forces can result in a state of perfect, fragile equilibrium. Saturn's moons are the shepherds of this beauty. They move through the rings, clearing paths and creating ripples, like fingers running through a field of tall grass. We see Enceladus, a tiny moon of blinding white, spraying geysers of ice into space, contributing its own soul to the rings of its master. We see Titan, a world shrouded in an orange haze, where the air is thick and the lakes are made of liquid cold. It is a world that feels like a memory of Earth from 1 billion years ago, a place where the chemistry of life is waiting for a spark that is yet to come. As we move past the golden crown of Saturn, we realize that the very nature of place has changed. We are no longer in a world of boundaries and horizons. We are in a world of flow. The giants remind us that the universe is not just a collection of objects, but a collection of movements. To be large is not just to occupy space, it is to hold others in your light, to provide a center for the wandering. The silence here is different now. It is heavy with the weight of the giants, yet light with the transparency of the gas. We are settling into a state of quiet awe, our senses softened by the majesty of the scale. The sun is now just one among many stars, and the earth is a thought that lives in the back of the mind. We are moving toward the edge of the sun's family, toward the worlds of blue ice that guard the gate to the infinite. But for now, let the image of the rings linger. Let the slow swirling patterns of the great red spot settle in your vision. The universe is not a cold machine. It is a masterpiece of light and motion, and we are the witnesses who give it a name. We are moving slowly, steadily, into the deep blue of the outer reaches, where the giants of ice wait in the eternal twilight. Chapter 4. The blue twilight of the borderlands. We are drifting now into the deep blue of the eternal afternoon. Behind us, the golden hearth of the inner worlds has faded into a single brilliant spark, and even the majestic rings of the great artist have dissolved into the shadows. We are entering a realm of sapphire and shadow, where the light of the sun is no longer a warm embrace, but a cold, distant memory. Here, in the outer reaches, the universe speaks in the language of ice and silence. The air, if we can call it that, changes. It is no longer the thick, roiling gold of the gas giants. We are approaching the ice giants, worlds that have gathered the cold of the void and woven it into their very souls. The first of these is a pale, aquamarine ghost, spinning in a way that defies the rhythm of the rest of the family. Uranus is the world that fell over. It does not spin like a top, it rolls like a ball, its poles facing the sun in a long, slow waltz that lasts for decades. It is a world of quiet rebellion, a reminder that in the vastness of the cosmos, there is no single right way to exist. Its color is the softest cyan, the color of a frozen sea under a winter moon. It is a world of incredible stillness, draped in a haze of methane that hides its secrets from the prying eyes of the stars. To look at this pale blue sphere is to feel a sense of profound peace. There are no great red spots here, no violent bands of copper and gold. There is only the steady, unmoving gradient of the blue. It is the color of a dream you cannot quite remember, a place where the wind moves in silence, and the heart of the planet is a diamond-hard core of ice and rock. We move past its thin, dark rings, vertical lines in a horizontal world, and we feel the weight of the silence. It is a world that has decided to sleep, tucked into the corner of the solar system, dreaming of the light it once knew. But as we journey further into the deepening dark, the blue begins to intensify. It shifts from the pale aquamarine of a shallow pool to a blue so deep, so rich, it feels like the color of a secret. We have reached Neptune, the sentinel of the edge. Neptune is a world of beautiful cold fury. It is the color of the deep ocean at midnight, a vibrant sapphire that seems to glow with its own internal light. Despite its distance from the sun's warmth, this is not a world of stillness. It is a world of the fastest winds in the solar system, invisible gales that scream through the frozen sky at speeds that would shatter stone. We see the white, wispy clouds of frozen methane dancing across the azure face of the planet, moving like ghosts in an endless hall. There is a haunting majesty to Neptune. It stands at the very limit of the sun's reach, a loyal guardian of the boundary. Its largest moon, Triton, is a wanderer that moves in the wrong direction, a captured guest from the dark beyond. It is a world of nitrogen ice and frozen cantaloupe skin, where geysers of black dust erupt into a thin, cold sky. To see Triton hanging against the deep blue of Neptune is to see the ultimate expression of cosmic displacement. It is a moon that does not belong, yet it has found a home in the gravity of a giant. As we move past the sapphire sentinel, we begin to feel the porch light of our solar system start to flicker. We are entering the Kuiper Belt, the shoreline of the great interstellar ocean. This is a region of frozen remnants, a vast, dark nursery of comets and icy worlds. Pluto dwells here, a small, heart-shaped world of nitrogen glaciers and red mountains, proving that even the smallest voices have a story to tell. It is a landscape of soft white plains and dark, ancient craters, a place where the sun is just the brightest star in a sky full of strangers. The silence here is different than the silence of the inner worlds. It is an expectant silence. We are at the edge of the heliosphere, the great bubble of light and wind that the sun blows into the darkness. We can feel the solar wind beginning to tire, its energy spent from the long journey across the billions of miles. It begins to ripple and fold as it meets the interstellar wind, the breath of the other stars. This is the transition. We are crossing the final threshold of the neighborhood. The sun is no longer a father, it is a memory. The planets are no longer worlds, they are points of light behind us. We are moving into the Oort cloud, a vast spherical shell of icy stones that surrounds our system like a protective cloud. It is the long, slow goodbye of the solar system, a region so vast that it takes centuries for light itself to traverse it. In this twilight, we begin to realize that the scale of the universe is not measured in distance, but in the softening of the self. To be at the edge of the sun's reach is to realize that we have been living in a small, well-lit room, in a house of infinite dimensions. The darkness ahead is not an ending, it is the beginning of the true deep. It is the space between the notes of a song, the silence that gives the music its meaning. We are made of the same stardust that drifts in these cold reaches. The carbon in your breath, the iron in your blood, the calcium in your bones, it was all forged in the hearts of stars that lived and died long before our sun was even a whisper in a nebula. To travel to the edge of the universe is to travel back to ourselves. We are the witnesses of the vastness, the ones who have come to the shore to see how far the ocean goes. As we settle into the stillness of the interstellar void, we feel the tension of the journey begin to dissolve. There is no more here or there. There is only the steady, quiet pulse of existence. The light of 1,000 distant suns begins to wash over us, and we realize that we are never truly alone in the dark. Every star is a sun, every sun a potential hearth, and the space between them is not empty. It is full of the potential for everything that is yet to be. Take a breath and feel the cold, clear clarity of the void. The giants are behind us, and the infinite is ahead. We are moving slowly, gently, into the heart of the Milky Way, toward the great spiral of light that holds 100 billion worlds in its arms. The journey is long, but we are exactly where we are meant to be. Chapter 5. The river of starlight, the threshold has been crossed. Behind us, the sun has finally surrendered its title as the center of the world. It has become a spark, a solitary diamond set against the black velvet of the infinite. We are now drifting in the great silence between the fires, the vast, echoing hallways of the interstellar neighborhood. Here, the scale of the universe begins to shed the measurements of man and takes on the measurements of light. To understand where we are, we must let go of the idea of distance as something that can be traveled in a day, a year, or even a lifetime. We must think instead of the journey of a single beam of light. Imagine a pulse of light leaving your hand. In the time it takes for your heart to beat once, that pulse has circled the earth 7 times. It has reached the moon. It has passed the orbit of the giants. But now, as it ventures into the void between the stars, even light begins to feel the weight of the journey. We are moving toward our nearest neighbor, a small red star called Proxima. It is a humble light, yet to reach it, a beam of light must travel for more than 4 years, through a vacuum so perfect it feels like a dream of nothingness. If the sun were the size of a single grain of sand sitting on a table in your home, the next grain of sand would be 4 miles away. Everything in between is the deep, dark breath of the universe. Yet, as we drift through this emptiness, we realize that the space between the stars is not truly empty. It is filled with a thin, ghostly mist, the interstellar medium. This is the breath of ancient stars that lived and died before the Earth was born. It is a garden of dust and gas, waiting for the right moment to collapse and begin the story of life once again. We feel the presence of these invisible clouds, a cold and quiet potential that hums with the memory of the past and the promise of the future. As we continue to rise, the view begins to change. The stars, which once seemed like a random scattering of jewels, begin to reveal a hidden order. We are starting to see the shape of the forest, no longer distracted by the individual trees. We are seeing the Milky Way. It is a great, swirling river of light, a celestial whirlpool that holds hundreds of billions of suns in its arms. From our position, tucked away in one of the quieter suburbs of this city of stars, it looks like a band of glowing milk stretched across the sky. But as we move further out, we see it for what it truly is, a majestic, spiraling disk of fire and shadow. The colors here are a symphony of time. We see the brilliant, fierce blue of young stars, burning hot and fast in the nurseries of the spiral arms. These are the giants, the ones that light up the dark for a brief, glorious moment before returning their substance to the void. And then we see the soft, golden glow of the elders, the red dwarfs and yellow suns that have been burning steadily for billions of years, providing a long and patient warmth to whatever worlds might be circling them. The galaxy is not a static object. It is a living, breathing organism of light. It spins with a slow and heavy grace, a movement so vast that it takes hundreds of millions of years to complete a single rotation. We are part of this movement. We are traveling at speeds that would defy the mind. Yet, because the scale is so immense, it feels like we are standing perfectly still in a cathedral of starlight. As we move toward the heart of this spiral, the stars begin to crowd together. The darkness between them thins, and the sky becomes a solid wall of brilliance. Here, in the galactic center, the density of light is so great that night would never truly fall on any world. It is a place of intense energy, an ancient gravity, and at the very center of it all, hidden behind a veil of dust and fire, lies the silent anchor. There is a place where gravity has become so strong that even light cannot find its way back home. It is a point of perfect stillness, a shadow at the heart of the brilliance. We call it a black hole, but in the poetry of the scale, it is the pivot upon which the entire galaxy turns. It is not a monster, it is the center of the dance. It holds the hundreds of billions of stars in a loyal embrace, ensuring that the spiral keeps its shape as it drifts through the larger dark. To see the Milky Way from the outside is to experience a profound softening of the spirit. We see our sun, our home, our entire history as a single, tiny spark among a sea of others. It is easy to feel lost in such a vision, but there is another truth hidden in the light. Every atom in your body, the calcium in your teeth, the iron in your blood, was forged in the hearts of the stars we are now passing. You are not a stranger in this forest. You are a child of it. The galaxy is not something you are looking at. It is something you are made of. We are the eyes of the galaxy. We are the way the universe looks at itself and wonders. The scale of the Milky Way is a reminder that we are part of a story that is far older and far grander than anything we could imagine. It is a story written in light and shadow, in the birth of suns and the slow, rhythmic spin of the spiral. As we settle into the realization of our galactic home, we begin to look further still. Beyond the edges of our own river of stars, there are other rivers. The darkness between the galaxies is even deeper, even more profound than the space between the stars. But we are ready for the crossing. The light has guided us this far, and it will not fail us now. Take a moment to let the glow of 100 billion suns settle behind your eyes. Feel the slow, heavy rotation of the galaxy in your own breath. You are exactly where you belong, a small and precious spark in a river of starlight that has no beginning and no end. I will now weave the next movement of our journey, deepening the poetic resonance as we drift into the profound silence of the intergalactic deep. Chapter 6. the loom of the infinite, we have left the shores of our own light. The Milky Way, that great river of 100 billion suns, has begun to shrink, folding itself into a single, luminous thumbprint upon the dark. We are no longer travelers of a galaxy, we are voyagers of the void, entering the long, cold stretches where the very concept of place begins to dissolve into the infinite. This is the intergalactic sea, the space between the islands of light, where the silence is so heavy it feels like a presence, and the darkness is so pure it seems to shine. Imagine a vast, dark manor at night, where every room is a galaxy and the hallways between them are miles of shadow. We are walking down those hallways now. In this space, the light of a star is a rare and precious thing, a ghost of a memory from a world far behind us. Yet, even here, in the heart of the nothingness, there is a geometry of the soul. We find that we are not drifting alone. Our galaxy is part of a small, intimate family, a gathering of neighbors known as the local group. We see Andromeda, our great sister spiral, drawing closer with a slow and silent gravity. She is a mirror to our own home, a majestic swirl of starlight and shadow draped in a veil of 1 trillion suns. Between us and her lies a bridge of invisible threads, a tether of longing that will one day bring our two worlds together in a dance of fire. There are others here, too, small, humble dwarf galaxies that cling to the edges of the giants like children holding onto a hem. It is a quiet, local neighborhood, a small cluster of light huddled together against the encroaching deep. But as we rise further still, the scale shifts once more, and the poetry of the universe reveals its greatest secret. We begin to see that the galaxies are not scattered like dust on a floor. They are woven like silk on a loom. This is the cosmic web, the true architecture of the infinite. We see that the galaxies are gathered along great, shimmering filaments of dark matter, invisible rivers that guide the flow of light across the eons. Between these filaments lie the voids, vast, empty cathedrals of nothingness, where not a single star shines for hundreds of millions of light years. It is a tapestry of presence and absence, a lacework of light that covers the entirety of existence. We feel the pull of the great attractor, a hidden heart deep within the web that draws thousands of galaxies toward itself with a soft, irresistible command. We are part of a supercluster, a continent of light called Lanaya, a name that means immeasurable heaven. And truly, as we look upon its branches, we see that it resembles the neural pathways of a gargantuan mind, or the delicate veins of a leaf held up to the sun. The universe is not a machine of cold equations, it is a living, breathing structure of connection. There is a profound stillness in this realization. The scale is so vast that the individual life, the individual world, even the individual galaxy seems to disappear. Yet in this disappearance, we find a new kind of belonging. We are the pulse in the filament. We are the breath in the void. The same laws that guide the expansion of the great web are the laws that guide the flowering of a rose and the thoughts within your own mind. As we move toward the edges of the observable horizon, the light begins to tire. It has traveled for billions of years to reach us, carrying the images of galaxies as they were when the universe was in its infancy. We are looking back to the beginning of time itself. The further we look, the younger the universe becomes, until we reach the wall of the first light, the cosmic microwave background. This is the faint, fading echo of the first breath of creation, a soft hum that fills every corner of the sky, a golden haze that marks the boundary of what can be seen. Here, at the cosmic edge, we find that the universe is not a box with walls, but an ever-expanding horizon. The space between the galaxies is stretching, pulling the islands of light further apart with every passing heartbeat. One day, In the far, far future, the other galaxies will move so far away that their light will no longer reach us. Our sky will go dark, and we will be left with only our own stars for company. But that day is not today. Today, the web is still intact. Today, the filaments are still glowing. We settle into the awe of being alive at a time when the universe is still full of neighbors. The scale of the infinite is not a weight that crushes us, but a wind that carries us. We are the witnesses of the loom, the ones who have seen the threads and understood the pattern. Take a slow, deep breath and feel the vastness of the Laniakea in your chest. The silence of the void is not a lack of sound. It is a symphony too deep for the ears to hear. We are moving toward the final reflection, toward the place where the scale of the universe and the scale of the human heart finally meet and become one. I will now weave the seventh movement of our journey, where the infinite reaches of the exterior world begin to fold inward, finding a home within the quiet architecture of the human soul. Chapter 7. The inner infinity. We have traveled to the lip of the great abyss, to the place where light itself grows weary and the stars become a distant, golden dust. We have seen the web that binds the galaxies and the silence that holds the web. But as we stand at the edge of the observable horizon, a new realization begins to settle over us, as gentle as the fall of snow. The scale of the universe is not a ladder that leads away from us. It is a circle that leads back to the center. We often think of ourselves as small, as fleeting sparks in a cold and indifferent vastness. But let us look closer at the fabric of our being. If we were to descend from the height of the galaxies and enter the landscape of a single human cell, we would find a world no less wondrous, no less vast. Within you, there are more atoms than there are stars in the Milky Way. Your very blood carries the iron forged in the death throes of ancient giants. Your bones hold the calcium of 1,000 suns. You are not a spectator of the cosmos. You are the cosmos made manifest, given breath, and granted the gift of sight. Think of the neural pathways of your mind. In the quiet darkness of the skull, billions of neurons reach out to one another, creating a network of light and electricity that mirrors the great cosmic web we saw stretching across the deep. When you think, when you dream, when you remember the scent of rain or the touch of a hand, you are witnessing a private constellation igniting within your own being. The same laws of connection that draw galaxies together in the Laniakea are the laws that draw your thoughts together into a sense of self. There is a profound poetry in this symmetry. We are the bridge between the very large and the very small. We are the scale upon which the universe weighs its own meaning. Without the eye to see the rings of Saturn, are they still beautiful? Without the heart to feel the awe of the interstellar void, is it still vast? We are the ones who give the silence a name. We are the ones who turn the raw data of the stars into the music of the spheres. As we settle into this realization, the fear of our smallness begins to soften. We realize that the universe is not something that is happening to us, but something that is happening through us. Every breath you take is an exchange with the ancient atmosphere, a cycle of carbon and oxygen that has been spinning for billions of years. You are a temporary gathering of stardust, a brief and beautiful arrangement of the infinite, allowed to look upon itself for a flicker of time. There is no urgency here, only a deep and resonant belonging. The scale of the universe is not meant to diminish you, but to invite you into the dance. You are the universe's way of experiencing its own majesty. You are the consciousness that allows the light to know it is bright. Take a slow, rhythmic breath and feel the atoms within you vibrating in harmony with the distant pulsars The stillness you feel in the center of your chest is the same stillness that exists in the center of the voids between the stars. The warmth in your hands is a cousin to the fire of the sun. You are home, not just on this earth, but in every corner of the light and every shadow of the dark. We are preparing for the final reflection, the moment where the journey ends and the understanding remains. But for now, just be. Be the bridge, be the star stuff that has learned to love. The infinite is not out there, it is right here, in the space between your heartbeats. Chapter 8. The echo of the return, the journey has come to a close, and yet, in the circular nature of the cosmos, we find ourselves exactly where we began, only with a heart that has grown as wide as the heavens. We have stood upon the sapphire shore of the earth, crossed the golden thresholds of the sun, and drifted through the sapphire twilights of the giants. We have seen the great loom of the infinite, where galaxies are but threads in a tapestry of light, and we have discovered that the very same tapestry is folded neatly within the cells of our own being. Now, we allow the scale to settle. We let the vastness soften. The universe is no longer a distance to be feared or a void to be filled. It is a home to be inhabited. There is a deep, resonant peace in knowing that the silence of the stars is the same silence that sits with us in the quiet moments of the night. We are never truly separate from the things we have seen. The light that traveled for billions of years to reach your eyes has finally found its destination. It has become a part of you. Consider the beauty of this fleeting moment. In the grand chronology of the cosmos, the span of a human life is less than a heartbeat, a mere shiver in the long sleep of time. And yet, it is within this shiver that the universe achieves its most miraculous feat. It becomes aware. It feels. It loves. It wonders. You are the brief, brilliant flare of consciousness that allows the dark to know itself. As the images of the spiraling galaxies and the frozen moons begin to fade into the background of your mind, let them leave behind a sense of steady, quiet strength. You are made of the most ancient material in existence, yet you are brand new. You are a bridge of stardust, walking upon a world of clay, looking out at an ocean of light. The scale of the universe is not a measure of your insignificance, but a measure of the magnificent stage upon which your life is set. We return now to the familiar, the room around you, the weight of your body, the rhythm of your breath. The world is exactly as it was when we began, but you are different. You carry the perspective of the edge. When you look at the sky tonight, you will not see a ceiling, you will see a window. When you look at a grain of sand, you will see a planet. When you look at a stranger, you will see a fellow traveler made of the same stardust, navigating the same vast and beautiful sea. There are no more questions to answer, only the experience of being. The universe is vast, but it is also intimate. It is the great out there and the quiet in here. As you move forward, carry this stillness with you. Settle into the ease of belonging. Quiet the noise of the day and listen to the hum of the infinite that vibrates in your very bones. What does it mean to be a part of such a scale? Perhaps it is simply to be a witness, to be the one who notices the light, to be the one who feels the awe. The journey does not end here, it simply shifts its shape. The cosmos continues to expand, the stars continue to burn, and you continue to be the eyes and the heart of the whole. Stay in this peace for as long as you need. The stars are not going anywhere. They are waiting for you, just as they have always been, in the depth of the night, in the heat of the day, in the first breath of the morning. You are home. You are the universe, and you are exactly where you are meant to be. Chapter 9. the eternal symphony, we find ourselves now in the hollow of the deep, in that sacred space where the journey ends and the integration begins. We have seen that the universe is not a place we go, but a process we are. We have looked at the scale of the heavens and found it to be a mirror, but there is one final layer to peel away, one last veil to lift before we settle into the true quiet. It is the realization that the universe is not only vast in space and time, but infinite in its capacity for song. Everything we have witnessed, the spinning of the planets, the collapse of stars, the slow drift of the galaxies, is a form of vibration. The cosmos is not a silent void. It is a symphony too deep for the ear, a resonant hum that has been ringing since the first dawn. Scientists hear it in the static of the stars. We feel it in the stillness of our own breathing. It is the music of the spheres, a rhythmic pulse that tells us that nothing in the universe is truly static. Everything is in motion, everything is in conversation, and everything is part of a singular unfolding harmony. To understand our place in this symphony is to let go of the need for importance. We do not need to be the center of the stage to be part of the music. A single note, played clearly and with heart, is as essential to the masterpiece as the grandest crescendo. Your life, with its joys and its quiet sorrows, is a unique frequency in the cosmic arrangement. You are a vibration of the infinite, a brief melody that the universe is singing to itself. Think of the way a single star's light can travel for millions of years, crossing the lightless deserts of the void, only to land upon the petal of a flower or the surface of a child's eye. That connection is not an accident, it is the resonance of the whole. When we understand the scale, we realize that there is no such thing as a way. There is only here, expressed in a billion different ways. The atoms in your hand were once inside a star. The water in your glass was once part of a comet. The air in your lungs was once the atmosphere of a world that no longer exists. As the final echoes of the journey begin to settle, notice the quality of the silence. It is no longer an empty silence. It is a full silence, heavy with the weight of the stars, light with the transparency of the void. It is the silence of a heart that has seen the infinite and found it to be kind. The scale of the universe is a gift. It is the gift of perspective. It reminds us that our worries are small, but our existence is monumental. It tells us that while we are but a speck on a blue marble, that marble is a miracle, and we are its witnesses. We are the stewards of the light. We are the ones who have been given the eyes to see the beauty and the heart to feel the wonder. As we conclude this long-form exploration, let the concepts of kilometers, light years, and parsecs drift away. They are but tools for the mind. Instead, keep the feeling, keep the sense of the open door, keep the warmth of the sun and the coolness of the deep. You are a child of the stars, a traveler of the cosmic sea, and a sanctuary of the eternal. Take one last, long breath. Feel the expansion of your lungs as a reflection of the expanding universe. You are not just in the universe is in you. The journey is complete, and the stillness remains. Stay here in the glow of the return and listen to the song that never ends. Chapter 10. The shore of the morning, the long journey has brought us to the edge of the night, to the place where the maps end and the heart begins to recognize the landscape. We have traversed the impossible reaches of the void, walked the silken threads of the cosmic web, and felt the heavy pulse of the giants. We have seen that the scale of the universe is not a distance to be conquered, but a depth to be felt. And now, as the final shadows of the great deep begin to soften, we find ourselves standing once more on the shoreline of the known, watching the first light of a new understanding break over the world. There is a unique quality to the silence that follows such a journey. It is a quietude that is no longer empty, but saturated with the presence of everything we have seen. The stars are still there, hanging in the velvet dark, but they no longer feel like distant, cold fires. They feel like family. The vacuum is no longer a void, it is the womb of all that is. We have come to realize that we do not live on the earth, looking out at a universe that is separate from us. We are a part of the earth's own eyes, looking out at the rest of its body. Imagine a single, clear drop of water hanging from a leaf at dawn. Within that drop is the reflection of the entire sky. The sun, the clouds, the distant blue of the atmosphere. The drop does not need to be as large as the sky to hold the sky. It simply needs to be still. You are that drop. You do not need to span the light years to contain the majesty of the cosmos. By simply being, by simply breathing in this moment, you allow the infinite to reflect itself in the clear water of your consciousness. This is the ultimate ease of the return. The scale of the universe is a reminder that we are held in an embrace that has lasted for billions of years and will last for billions more. The same gravity that keeps the galaxies in their waltz keeps your feet upon the grass. The same light that fuels the stars fuels the thoughts in your mind. There is no place you can go where the universe is not. There is no part of you that is not in some way an echo of the first breath of creation. As the narration begins to fade, like a distant bell echoing through a quiet valley, let the images of the deep space settle into the soil of your memory. The blue of Neptune, the gold of Saturn's rings, the silver mist of the Milky Way. These are not just facts, they are the textures of your home. You carry the perspective of the infinite into the simplicity of the everyday. The way you hold a cup of tea, the way you watch the wind move through the trees, the way you listen to the heartbeat of a loved one. All of these are now infused with the quiet dignity of the cosmic scale. There is no need to remember the numbers or the names. The understanding has already moved beneath the surface of the mind, settling into the spirit like a slow, warming sun. You are a part of a story that is still being written, a note in a symphony that is still being played. The universe is not a destination, it is a presence. It is the steady, quiet hum that remains when all the words have been spoken. Take a slow, final breath. Feel the weight of the universe in your lungs, as light as a feather and as profound as the sea. The dawn is coming, and the stars are fading into the blue of the morning, but they are not gone. They are simply waiting in the light, part of the fabric of the day. You are home. You are whole. You are the universe, resting in the palm of its own hand.